Hello, Roman is here. Today I'm gonna show you how I've done this character. It's an end character that I made for a short video to test out some of my automation systems. So what's gonna be covered here is the modeling, the rigging, and some aspects of animation. The modeling was done in a semi-procedural way using this metahuman skeleton as a guide to place all the limbs and joints and the spine structure in the right places, so it would be easier later to rig this character. So the first goal here is to create this blocking, which looks like this, and basically it's just the tubes which were tangled around the skeleton on the lower level, and later the higher levels tangled around the inner levels. To do it in more or less painless way, I've developed this 3-man builder tool. Basically, this tool accomplishes two goals. The first one, it's made for creating tube-like shapes along a sequence of objects like this. Here you can see some wires were created, and they twist in and they go further the line. So this was the way how I made all these initial wires like this. There are some parameters here that I can tweak as I go to modify the shapes. For example, I don't like this radius here, so I can change start radius to, let's say, 3. It's a ring radius, and the wine radius here, let's say 2, and try this one again. And also here's wine numbers and some midsection expansion parameters and twist options and so on and so forth. So let's create this one. So here we have like this leg structure, and for example, if I don't like this one again, I can just cancel and set the radius a little bit lower, and also set the twist to 2 coils, and offset to something less drastic. Yeah, something like this. And after that, I can decrease the number of wines, increase this radius to say 4, 2, and revert the coils to -3. So there are going to be 3 coils, and they will go in the opposite direction. And let's see what we got. Yeah, something like this. I wouldn't use this as a final solution, however, this is just a demonstration. So this is how it's working here. And also, if I need just the guides, the curves. I click the guide option, and here we have, it's just a curve that runs through these objects that I might use later for some reason. So let's see what I have here in terms of blocking. When I was working with this character, I created this initial tube structure for the character's skeleton, which is made from these different kinds of vines with different radiuses, and they all are placed along the joints, which is gonna make rigging easy later. So the next task was to make this like a torso structure here, and the eye rims, the head, and the highest level of vines over the limbs, and the twigs, and the head twigs. So basically that's it regarding the blocking. However, the other aspect of this vine creation tool is the tangling. It works similarly to the first part of this tool, the upper one. The tangles work in a similar manner. However, here we have the objects, the transform objects themselves as guides, but for the tangling mechanism we're gonna need a mesh. How the tangling works, we just select some edges along the leg, and the parameters are pretty similar. It's number of coils, randomness, and so on and so forth. So let's hit it, and as you can see, we have a vine that is placed around the polygons of this mesh. And for example, if we want to have some purification, we can click here and decrease the radius a little bit. Let's say 1.5. Twinkle mesh, and as you can see, it splits somewhere. That's it for the blocking, and the next task is gonna be to create the final meshes in Houdini. So after the blocking was done, I brought it into Houdini to combine all this together and make something look like actual tree. So this is the mesh that I brought in. I did some offset here to give it a little bit of volume, then subdivision to make it a little bit smoother, and I populated the volume of these lines with points, did a fluid remeshing here, so as you can see, some sections here were fused together, and I've transferred the UVs from the initial model right here. It's gonna be used later for creating the bark texture. So here's the remeshed model, and some noise was here. Like this, just to break the initial shade. And, it was smoothed a little bit. Then UV transfer. Yes, it's a UV transfer. And here we have some sort of the bark looking noise right here. It's basically just, I don't know if you can see it like this. It's basically just a noise with UVs as drivers and stretched in U direction, like here you can see. Yes, so smooth again, applied some normals, remesh, and this is the final result that is gonna be exported back to Maya to quadrimeshing. So let's see if we have this model right here, the remeshed one. So yes, here it is. So basically what this is just this mesh, the triangular one, brought back to Maya and remeshed with Maya standard toolkit. I didn't do the same with the vines, these ones, because I want to keep this uniformity in here. I don't want to remesh them. So basically that's it on the model inside. Same thing I've done with the body cage and upper limbs and the head as well. So this is the model that I got in the end. The topology looks like this. It's all been retopologized in Maya. And also I've modeled some leaves and leaf twigs and moss that's coming through his body. So we'll get to it just in a minute. So the twigs I just made two versions of the twigs. This bifurcated one and a single one. This one. Then again, I brought it to Houdini. This single twig and the double twig. And also I put in all the meshes where they should come from. This is the mask with the scattered points. Oh, as you can see, the twigs have been populated. Right there, and also we have a leaf and the leaf was placed over the twigs removed all the points that aren't essential right here, the place and the ellipse. And in the end, what we got here is the tweaks with the ellipse. So the last task in terms of the modeling is to create the moss in the inside areas. Again, taking the combined mesh as input using mask by ambient occlusion color. As you can see, currently it's been inverted, so all the dark areas should retain side moisture, where the moss might be growing from is white and the outside areas is black. I've removed all the extra polygons not to have them there, and the point scatter. The moss itself is just a plane with some crisscrossing here and a little bit bend variation. So using these points, I gave them some rotation and scale attributes to make the moss bigger inside and smaller closer to the outside. So after placing it on the points, we have something like this, and giving it the color just to see it a little bit more prominent. So having this all back in Maya, it looks like this. So the last task in terms of modeling was to create the his vines that are gonna be animated. I plan to make them something like these ones, so he could grab stuff with his arms, and the roots growing from his legs, they would grow into the ground when he moves. So to make that, I've made these variations of lines using the same tools that I showed you before, just with different heights. These ones have 3 vines, 2 vines and 1 vine. Just a small collection to have something to choose from later. And on the final model, they look like here. So now we have everything here, and I've also did some texturing in Substance Painter. The bark texture combined with the moss. Same goes for the vines. And here we have the moss and the leaves. As you can see, it's a standard metahuman rig that I use for the bipeds. So the biped rig drives the skeleton, his body, doing it this way using metahuman skeleton, there's a possibility to use some motion capture data from standard Unreal library, and basically this character can be used inside Unreal with just a few proper modifications. So besides these obvious visual controls, I have a MetaHuman control panel that I use for animating my characters. I'm not an animator, I'm a technical developer, so mostly I do it for the animators, not myself, however. I'm using this panel when I need to test some animations or to make some myself. Basically, what it does, it just lets you select and control some stuff a little bit quicker than highlighting everything inside the viewport. But it's not enough for the vines animation. For the vines animation, I have this tool here, which allows me to control the vines. So, for example, if I need to isolate some vine while I'm working with it, I'm clicking right here in this pseudo outliner, and here we have some levels of control, like the highest FK control, and then we have IK control. It's not exactly an IK, but it works like it. And fine control if I need just to move some isolated piece right here. Also, there's gross control. So, for example, if I need to animate this vine growing from here somewhere, I would just create a proxy curve from this line. I would pause it. And key the low and high controls. And then I would pause curve and key again. And here it moves. But also I can set the grow controls. So now it's not only moving, it's also growing. It's a pretty simple example, but basically that's the gist of it. And after I've done working with this curve, I'm going to delete it. To test the reconnection, I decided to use one of my presets that comes with the package. You can find it right here in content browser. So I won't import one right now since I already have one inside the scene. So this is how it looks like. It does some smashing action. I've scaled it down a little bit to match my character size. And to translate the animation onto the rig, I'm gonna use another tool that I've developed. It's animation retargeter. Select Rococo template. The character's namespace. The animation namespace. and then we need to perform a few actions right now. So let's see how it goes. I think it's okay. It requires some cleaning, but I won't do that since it's not the objective of this mini project. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bake the intermediate skeleton. And then I'm gonna bake the rig. Now, as you can see, the rig follows the animation, and it's good enough for me. So after having that animation, I went in and brought the combined rig with the vines attached to the body, and I've animated those, so when he makes a step, the vines shrink and they grow back when his step is finished, like this. And then he grabs the rock with his vines. The rock is just attached to the hands, and he smashes the rock, and afterwards the animation is finished. Smashing the rock would be a little bit boring. I thought of making some fireflies that were sitting on top of the rock and making them fly away, like he tries to play with them. So I brought in the cached out rock animation into Houdini, and I've generated some points from the rock. I've split them into 3 groups. So the first one would be triggered when he touches the rock the first time. And then when he touches the rock, the fireflies fly away. The second group would fly away on the first hit, and the third group would fly away on the second hit. And then let's see these points and the guy. After fireflies would fly around for some time, they would come down and sit on top of this guy. It's not an actual simulation, particle simulation per se. It's more like just using some turbulence fields and blending the point positions from one state into another and into the third one. After everything is done, I need to somehow bring these points back to Maya to place the actual animated fireflies over the points. It can be done in a few ways. The first one I thought of was to just script in some Python code to export a JSON with all these point transforms into a cache, and then write another JSON decoder for Maya to apply this animation onto the locators. However, later I decided it would be easier just to generate some geometry over the points, so they would have normals with some sense of direction where these points are going. And I've exported these cards into Alembic to bring it back inside Maya. So this is the Firefly that I used for this project. I already had it. I modeled it quite some time ago for a different project, and it's rigged. The rig is pretty simplistic one, which is basically the skin. I have a version that has a more complex rig for this one. However, I don't need it right here, so I've created just a few attributes to change the wind state. So put fly, and the leg state when it's in standing or flying position. And the spine state, I actually didn't use this one, however it's there. And also the wings float in idle position. So this is a Firefly. And here we have the scene with these cards. Just hide the fireflies for a second. So this is the card imported from Houdini. And to animate these fireflies, I've referenced the rig a bunch of times. There's 50 cards, so I referenced it 50 times. I didn't do it by hand, I used the script for that. And then I used this central point as a driver, using this point on poly constraint to bind the fireflies to the cards. So as you can see, they're just sitting on top of it. And after that, I've animated the wings again with another script that I wrote on the fly, just to make them move. It's not too precise. Insects swing the wings really fast. I use just one frame for one move, just to give it some motion blur while rendering. So they fly and they sit on the guy in the end. So bringing everything together for the render, I've imported the guy, cached out in Alembic. I've used one of the Megascans models to give it a ground. The cached rock, which is also a Megascans model. And I've added one more firefly, just to make him fly by the guy, so he would follow it towards the rock. So fireflies comes here, he follows. The other ones sits on top. And he does his smashing right there. Here in Nuke we can examine the final result. This is the render that I got from Maya using Redshift as the render engine. So gamma correction, exposure, fireflies, blue, then the background with the trees. It's also been rendered from Maya using just a sample image on a sphere. I did this render inside of Maya because the camera has motion blur on it and the focus distance, so it would look like almost authentic. Same with the sky. So combined together. And the last thing that I rendered in Maya was the volumetrics right here, using Redshift volume scattering and some noises to create this foggy rays, or as they call them, God rays. So in the result, what we have here is a guy walking through the forest, chasing a firefly and smashing the rock. Yeah, so basically that's it. The whole project took me like 4 weekends with some hours put in after work, but I'm pretty happy with it. So let me know what you think, if you have any questions or maybe suggestions or anything you want to say. Right, thank you for watching.